What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and I hope you guys remember a couple of weeks ago I made a video talking about how the Pentagon Thief would be coming to Black Ops 4 in the form of a playable character at a later date. And this past Tuesday, that came true with the update that brought us the Tagler Towing Gauntlet, the Micro MG DLC weapon, and various bug fixes across all game modes. We also got Yuri added to the game. However, it's unfortunate that Yuri has suffered the same fate as other Blackout characters like John Doe, Jane Doe, Blackjack, and Sarah Hall, where there is no direct path to unlocking the Pentagon Thief, not even a paywall you can go through to earn him directly. You have to rely on good RNG to pull Yuri out of a random reserve case. And people out there might be thinking, well, isn't that better because it's technically free? You could just grind the game, earn reserves, and open them up that way versus having to pay money like $8 to $12 just to get them, in a special order or some type of bundle in the black market. And I suppose that's true depending on how many items you exactly have in Black Ops 4, because if you're one of those people out there who, stocked up 500 reserve cases and you already have every item in the game, then this past update was no problem because they added in about, I think it was 394 brand new items into the black market or so. So if you had 500 reserve cases, you were probably guaranteed just about everything, and you probably got both Yuri and the new weapon by now. But if you were somebody out there who doesn't save up too many cases and you don't have everything in the game at this point, the odds are you're probably not going to get them for a while. But my fingers are crossed that everybody out there who wants Yuri will pull him from reserves. And at least for me, right, I have just about every character except for the Blackjack, and I can't complain. I'm grateful that I got lucky and got John Doe, Jane Doe, Sarah Hall, just about all the DLC weapons. I'm grateful for that. But the Pentagon Thief is definitely a character that I really wanted, right? And even back at release of Black Ops 4, I was saying the Pentagon Thief would make such a great Blackout character because we haven't seen him in a while, right? The last actual appearance he made in a zombie map, I want to say, was in the original 5 from Black Ops 1. Then we got a brief cameo for him in the classified intro, and we of course had some radios of him within Alpha Omega discussing how he escaped the Pentagon, how the Avogadro killed him, and the Avogadro would also be a super cool Blackout character, and I really hope they don't lock him behind random RNG. But again, I would have had no problem spending $8 to $10 on iconic characters like the Pentagon Thief, Dr. Monty, the Avogadro, characters that are worth it in comparison to other characters they added in from the Black Ops 1 campaign like Sergey, Weaver, and some other ones that I'm sure definitely aren't fan favorites within the Black Ops community. But you guys might also be wondering, well, why out of all characters did they lock the Pentagon Thief behind random RNG? Well, it could be a double-edged sword, right? You could say, well, oh, because of the recent changes they're making to the black market with the Revamp and how Activision's trying to remove microtransactions, now they want to be fair and just put characters behind simple RNG instead of direct paywalls. You could say that, which could make sense because it's been quite a long time since they've actually done this, right? Just about every character they've added in has been added behind the paywall, right? A special order, a bundle in the black market, something like that. Very rarely did we see a free character through a contraband stream, and we only had, like, what was it, 4 characters? John and Jane Doe, Sarah Hall, and Blackjack added behind random reserves. Everybody else you had to pay for. So it's kind of shocking that when the cycle is over for Black Ops 4, they added another character in, but behind reserves this time. So the other theory is, well, Activision could make more money if people just gamble their way through reserve cases, spending who knows how many COD points attempting to get Yuri, right? It could take people $40 to $200 to get their hands on the Pentagon Thief in a random reserve, as opposed to Activision only making $8 to $12 on somebody's purchase of the character himself. So like I said, double-edged sword. It could be something they're doing like in a nice way where they're saying, well, we're technically adding them in for free, just grind the game, or it could be a situation where they're like, we're going to make a shit ton of money if a highly requested character is added into Blackout, but is put behind random RNG, so people out there are going to spend who knows how much money attempting to get him. So that's the situation with that. But another question is, why would they add in the Pentagon Thief now, right? It would have made sense to put him in, back when Classified came out, or when the DEFCON 5 Gauntlet came out for Classified. But why now? So there's cool conspiracies out there right now that maybe he'll be featured in the DLC 5 Victus maps, but, we remember he died within Alpha Omega, right? We had radios and his little holding cell we were able to find where he was killed by the Avogadro. So if he does appear in DLC 5's Victus maps, that could mean a couple of different things, right? We have a Pentagon Thief from a different timeline. Maybe the DLC 5 Victus maps take place in the Dark Ether, so we could see various zombie bosses and people like him that may be dead, but could still appear in the form of hallucination in the Dark Ether. But I'm not sure what what his connection would be to Victus, but still a cool theory to think about nonetheless. Now, I also want to give a big shout out to Newbie Gaming for sending me footage of Yuri, since he of course got him from reserves. We have some great footage on screen of him doing emotes at the Blackout menu, and then we of course have him in game doing things as well. So it's really fantastic footage. Thank you so much, Newbie. Definitely check him out down below in the description. I have a link to both his Twitter and his YouTube channel. But there's also a possibility that DLC 5 Zombies Chronicles 2 could see faithful remasters of 5 Nuketown, Mob of the Dead, and Call of the Dead, since technically the assets are already in the game, and all they have to do is strip away all the new areas, close a few doors, add the old Easter eggs, and get the licensing to bring back the celebrity voice actors' lines, right? They wouldn't re-record any of those lines, because we saw with Zombies Chronicles 1, they just reused the original lines from, you know, the previous Black Ops games and just kind of revamped them to sound very crisp on current-gen hardware. And 5 didn't have a celebrity crew anyway. It was a different crew than we were used to, but they weren't played by celebrity voice actors by any means. So they already had McNamara in Classified in a bit of a cameo, so I'm sure they could also bring back the lines for Kennedy, Castro, and Nixon at some point. But it would make sense, right? You do a remaster of 5. Classified's pretty much already a faithful remaster, minus of course the added areas in Spawn, and then the one on the second floor, and then the Groom Lake area they added as well. So take all that away, and you have the original 5, and we have a brand new crisp model for the Pentagon Thief as well, which is fantastic. But maybe the budget can support doing faithful remasters of those old maps at this moment in time, because it still does take a little bit of work to add in the old Easter eggs and kind of make the maps look like they used to, taking away everything new that was added in the Black Ops 4 remakes. But yeah, it does suck, right? The odds of getting the Pentagon Thief aren't very high, but hopefully at some point down the line I can get my hands on him, because he's a really cool character. But if I never do get my hands on him, then at least I have this great footage from Newbie to look at if I ever wonder how he acts in Blackout, how his voice lines are. You know, it does suck too that his voice lines are recorded from the same actor that does Nikolai, right? Fred Tatascore. So you can hear a bit of Nikolai, a hint of Nikolai, I would say, in Yuri's voice. And I will play more audio of Yuri later on in the video. But people out there were also wondering whether or not with the Black Market revamp coming next week, will there also be a direct way to unlocking characters or charms or things that are not base weapons, Mastercrafts, Mark IIs, because technically base characters are still ultra rare items, right? And as I'm recording this, I just remembered that M Shadows was also featured in the Black Market, but not in the form of a special order or a bundle by any means. He was also added behind random reserves, and you needed good RNG to pull him out to then have him as a playable character. So I think it's a good opportunity to have a system where maybe you redeem 20 or 30 reserve cases to get a character of your choice, because the actual value of a character is much different than a weapon, and a weapon costs 50 reserve cases, which is quite a lot, and I wouldn't say a character is more worth it than an actual weapon. So I think it's fair to say they should scale that down to maybe 20 or 30 cases, but would still be a good system overall, because there's people out there who either haven't pulled characters like John Doe, Jane Doe, M Shadows, you know, people that were locked behind random RNG, and there's people out there who maybe missed the window to purchase a character they wanted from the Black Market. Maybe they were out of town when Danny Trejo and various characters were added behind paywalls, and they might want them. So I think it is appropriate to also have a system to unlock characters of your choice, and hopefully they do that, you know, maybe not next week, but maybe sometime later down the line with the Black Market revamp. But that's how the system in Blackout should have worked to begin with, right? You'll always have people who don't like grinding and would much rather spend money to get content straight away, but I think in terms of the Call of Duty community, there are far more people willing to grind hours just to get a free weapon or a cosmetic item of their choice, and even a character to play as in Blackout. People out there are willing to grind hours and hours to stock up, you know, 100 reserve cases to guarantee themselves some content they really want. And I think to begin with, Treyarch had a system like this in mind, and people out there are also saying, well, it's funny how Treyarch had this system almost ready to go right when Activision, you know, gave them the green light to do something like this. Right when Activision got rid of supply drops in Modern Warfare and allowed Treyarch to do a Black Market revamp, Treyarch had an update ready pretty quickly. So I'm assuming Treyarch maybe had this in mind or in development, you know, early last year, but because of Activision, they had to put that system on hold either indefinitely or, you know, temporarily, and incorporate some anti-consumer policies in Activision's favor. But now that Activision is going for some good PR, is changing their ways a little bit, they're telling Treyarch, okay, go ahead and do what you were telling us last year, do a nice fair system. So Treyarch is putting out an update pretty close to the release of Modern Warfare's official official release, right? Modern Warfare just came out a couple weeks ago, and Treyarch already has this update ready. I would have expected the Black Market revamp in a couple months or something, but luckily we're getting it pretty damn soon. So I think Treyarch always intended for there to be a direct path to unlock new content in Blackout. Maybe that doesn't include characters, but at the very least, that includes DLC weapons. But it truly does suck that Yuri and the Shadow Man were put into Blackout before zombies, and it goes with that meme that there's almost more zombies content in Blackout than there is in the zombies mode. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is funny to talk about when we discuss these various Blackout characters. There's characters that make sense to be in zombies that weren't added in, right? I've said this before and I've stressed it so many times. Danny Trejo and M Shadows would have been perfect for Tag or Toten. I was seriously expecting a remix of Not Ready to Die, the song from Call of the Dead, since Avenged Sevenfold seemed to be working with Treyarch not only on making M Shadows a playable character in Apocalypse Z, but also possibly preparing to write music for Treyarch's last Ether map, which also happened to be a remake of the map Avenged Sevenfold did a song for back in Black Ops 1. And alongside that, they started selling Not Ready to Die merchandise. So maybe as a bit of a deal, right? They add M Shadows to Apocalypse Z, and then Activision also tries to sponsor Avenged Sevenfold a little bit and promote their website, which was selling Call of the Dead merchandise. But it just seemed like such a big setup for Tag or Toten, but it just didn't happen, which sucks. But Avenged Sevenfold did at least work with Treyarch once in Black Ops 4, and that was on the song The Mad Hatter for the Chaos Map 9. And Shadow Man, of course, was added to Blackout 2, but at least he had some quotes in Blood of the Dead, which were pretty big in terms of story, but it sucks he never appeared throughout the season. He just died in the summoning key at the end of Tag or Toten. And Dr. Monty, for a fact, would have been a playable character in Blackout if they were able to bring Malcolm McDowell to the studio, but it's unfortunate. It is what it is. We have to move on. But imagine how cool a Pentagon Thief cameo would have been in Classified. Maybe you could have stole our specialists instead of weapons this time around to kind of change things up, and then we would have to go and kill him to get our specialists back. Maybe we can upgrade our specialist through killing Yuri. That would be kind of cool. Kind of a missed opportunity with a quest there. But it would have been cooler if they even featured Yuri in the Classified gauntlet known as DEFCON 5. I know gauntlets aren't necessarily canon, so they could have done whatever they wanted with him on round 30 as a fun challenge round. Nothing implicating to the story, just something for fun to make Gauntlet more replayable, right? Giving something exclusive to Gauntlet, right? Giving some type of round or a feature just in Gauntlet so that it encourages more people to try the mode and replay it later down the line. And yeah, it would have been cool if Gauntlet had super exclusive and unique challenges or assets that aren't featured in the base map, just to encourage more people to not only try the mode, but then maybe replay it later down the line for whatever that reason was. But that is about it. Let me know what you think of this down below in the comment section. This has been dkdynamite. Are you happy that the Pentagon Thief isn't locked behind a paywall, or would you rather pay $8 to $10 to get him this week rather than waiting maybe a couple of months to hopefully pull him out of a random reserves? Let me know what you think down below. Really hope you've enjoyed, and be on the lookout for an update next week when the Black Market revamp comes to Black Ops 4. I'll cover every aspect of it and let you guys know exactly what you can pull out with the revamp. But peace out, everyone.